Scott, derby games, any level, are important games. Nice to get a victory in that.
Yeah, I think, like I say, it's a local derby, and obviously the lads feel the pressure, and I suppose as a staff you feel it a little bit more. It's a game you always want to win, and obviously to keep the season going, but from a point of view to win the game, get the bragging rights is important.
Was it something you learn about the players a little bit more, the way they respond to that kind of extra pressure?
Yeah, I think that sort of this squad at the moment, they're very, very self-led. So at the moment, it's sort of give them a few outlines to what we want to do, a bit of a framework, and then leave them to get on with it. And I thought for 75 minutes we were really good, and probably should have been more goals ahead. They got one back, and then that pressure bit kicked in a little bit for them. I thought West Brom put two strikers up against our defenders and changed the game a bit. So the last 15 minutes were probably a little bit more dicey for us, but I thought overall we controlled the game, deserved to win.
Because how do you assess where your team is at the moment after what's been an interesting few weeks?
Yeah, I think it's always difficult because, as I've always said, I think my job is to look at them all individually. If I want to win the league, then I keep Donovan, I keep Connor Johnson, I say, no, you're not going out on loan. But for their development, that's what they need. They need that real football taste and understanding what it is. So, you know, you can look at it two ways. I think I understand how to win a league, but I think I also, my job and hopefully my skill is understanding what each player needs at certain times, and that's our challenge then, to find them their right challenge as well.
And you're getting quite a few of the next group kind of coming through and establishing themselves with your group at the minute.
I think it's, you know, we have a policy here of challenging what's called you know, players with real potential, elite players, whatever you want to call it. And you know, if you're an elite player here for us, we push them up, challenge them, but at the same time we support them and recognise and don't try and make it easy for them. I've seen a lot of young talented players fall away because they're never challenged. They're told how wonderful they are every day, and then when that first setback comes, a lot of them can't cope. So we really, you know, we're tough on talent here. We challenge it, we make it work, and we see the results of that. You know, I think if you look at what our policy is or what we're trying to do, you know, Morgan was in the 18s at 15, he was in my team at 16, and he was in the first team at 16 and a half. So, you know, we think that's the best way. If somebody's got a real talent, we're not going to put players in front of him. And sometimes to clear that space, sometimes we have to let boys move on to loan to get their experience and then hopefully find their level as well.
Yeah, talking about challenges, Oscar Burr, what a couple of days he's had.
Yeah, I mean, it's football just throws up things, and you know, Oscar's not even trained with the first team. I think that, you know, they recognised, I think Nuno recognised that obviously with Doc's suspension he needed a right back at some point if he needed it, and obviously Oscar's the next right back in line, and it's great of the manager to believe in him. He's had a little bit of taste early in the season, and I thought he did some good stuff, and I thought also little bits he needed to work on. I think in terms of us, he's been really positive. I think second part of the year he's really kicked on and really played well. At the moment he's sort of sharing a little bit with Phil, who we're trying to get fit. So he didn't play the last game against West Brom because Phil was starting, and then he's due to play the next game. But then obviously in the meantime, the manager says you're coming on, go and scores a goal in the far post. So he hasn't done that for me yet, though, so
in a way, does it show actually the trust that Nuno has in what you're doing, that he doesn't need Oscar to go and train with him day in, day out? He knows he can just call him straight from you and he can go in and do a job.
Yeah, I think that, you know, a manager uses a lot of players for his training sessions. You know, there's times when obviously some of the lads have played on the Saturday and they'll need a group for the Sunday or the Monday to train with, and so he knows them all. You know, I've asked him on many occasions, do you want me to change the shape? You know, we don't play 3-4-3, but we play similar. But and he always says, no, I like the players, I like how they are technically, I like how they are physically, and also I think he understands that when they step up, they don't freeze. So from that point of view, you know, it works really well. You know, always keen to learn from him in terms of what he's trying to do, but obviously by watching the team, we can see it. And we've tweaked how we play a little bit, that it does develop into a bit more of a 3-4-3 when we get the ball. And against certain teams, we actually drop into a 3-4-3 defensively as well. So, you know, I've sort of learned a little bit from watching his team play, and I think it's helped us develop our players. But I think, as you can see, that when Oscar plays, whether it's a wing back or full back, he's a good enough player to do the job, and we think the key is to teach them the skills to play the game rather than to have you're a wing back or you're a right back or you're a centre back. We hopefully that they've got skills to play.